This is the fifth year that Deloitte are doing this survey, and quite interestingly enough, what we've done this year is we've included a number of other African countries, which has given us quite a nice perspective, because if you think about it, the views of CFOs among the different countries in Southern Africa will differ, but I would have expected them to be much more closer than they actually are. And what we are finding is that the South African CFOs are far more conservative than their neighbouring counterparts. And if you look at why that is, there are probably a number of reasons for that, which we'll get into the discussion later. But I guess it's a focus on sentiment of the current market, opportunities that they see in their current markets around growth, and also the political landscape that surrounds the country in question. But nevertheless, having said that, all the CFOs that we surveyed across all 5 countries have shown some good fundamentals on the ground. And if we look at some of those and we try and unpack some of those, firstly, all of them see GDP growth. So the South African CFOs are looking at growth of between 3 and 3.5% over the next year or two. If we look at their counterparts in the other African countries, we're moving from around 5 to 5.8%, which, if you think about it, is more bullish than most of the economists are predicting out there. So certainly CFOs are positive about the environment that they're operating in terms of the growth. If we look at their views on interest rates, a very small minority, less than a quarter in fact, of CFOs see the rates increasing. So what we have is a view in the next year or two that rates are going to be quite stable, which I think in my language is easier access to funding. Then if we look at the performance of their companies, once again, a very small percentage of CFOs have said that their companies this year has actually done worse than expected. In fact, almost 60 to 70% of people are saying our companies have performed better. But more importantly, for the next year, 85% of CFOs surveyed saying we're going to have a better year. So we've got good funding, cheap funding, we've got good prospects, good growth, a good growth agenda. We would expect that the CFOs would be more bullish. If we look at their strategies in terms of what they're going to do, it's quite interesting. It's very much batten down the hatches, preserve the cash. So if we look at the liquidity ask, it will be preserving the cash. A number of CFOs, interestingly, have indicated that they're going to be issuing dividends. So I think the dividend flow will increase, which I think also is possibly a sign of negative sentiment. Saying to investors and shareholders out there, we will give you the cash because we don't really have a better use for it within the organization. The strategies that they're going to follow are typically strategies around cost-cutting, process optimization, etc., etc. New growth, new markets is much, much lower down on the agenda. Now, if we look at new growth and we look at where CFOs are looking to grow, Africa is a big ticket for South African CFOs. That's been the case in the last couple of years that we've done this survey, and even more so now. So certainly South African CFOs are looking to grow into Africa. Funnily enough, the CFO counterparts in the other African countries are saying we would prefer to first focus on our home markets, and only 30% of us are actually going to go out into the other markets. In terms of risks, local CFOs are saying the political context is a big problem for us. We need to understand how this is going to play out. The situation on the ground in terms of union activity, I think certainly is not adding to positive sentiment. So CFOs are nervous out there, which probably explains their cautiousness around their strategies.